I've just found a small channel that has seemingly cracked the YouTube algorithm with their very first video. But here's the thing, I don't actually know how they did it. They created a 2-hour video essay on a 30-year-old space simulator game called Wing Commander. I mean, who would want to watch that? Yeah, exactly. It seems like it's an incredibly ambitious project that's a quarter of a century too late. And you know the score, right? The YouTube algorithm literally hates small channels. So how did they pull this off? 100,000 views, 100 days, one video. Well, the only way to find out was to ask them. And it soon turned out this was no fluke. As I began my research, it soon became clear that this was no random gaming video. And I should know, because I watched it. The entire thing. And I loved it. The creator tapped into a single and critical principle that helped the video take off and prove once and for all that the YouTube algorithm isn't biased against small channels. Hi, I'm Rob, by the way, and welcome to vidIQ. Over the many years, I've helped countless creators turn their passions into successful YouTube channels. And if you're wondering what my favourite 1990s space simulator game is, it's TIE Fighter, obviously. Oh, that takes me back, does that? But we're not talking about that. Today we're talking about this. But in truth, it doesn't matter whether I'm talking about this game or that recipe or those cryptocurrencies or a million other things. This single strategy applies to all channels equally. So let's start taking action. The strategy is actually a simple and classic one: supply and demand. To find a topic people are interested in that no one else is covering. The story starts with a creator playing this 30-year-old game for the first time just 1 year ago. But of course, hundreds of thousands fondly remember Wing Commander from its original release. Having enjoyed this blast from the past, the creator went onto YouTube in search of modern long-form retrospectives on the game, but it couldn't find anything of value. And this sets us up for a classic supply and demand opportunity. Classic video game retrospectives are a huge topic on YouTube. This one here on Super Mario World has nearly 5 million views. And there are big retrospectives on all of the classic big video games from GoldenEye to Street Fighter 2. And that was the gap the creators saw. Classic space simulator games were being underrepresented when it came to video game retrospectives. And this was the creators' first effort. And let's be honest, it's got some fairly conventional packaging. The title's fairly generic, it's copied on the thumbnail. If this was going through an audit, we'd have 1 or 2 suggestions. But does it really matter when there is zero competition? The only real question was whether this had an audience. Well, to begin with, YouTube wasn't sure. In the first 24 hours, just 130 impressions, and a lot of that traffic came from search. Viewers needed to have a specific intent on finding Wing Commander content to watch this video. But hey, a 9% click-through rate, 23 views, and a whopping 29 minutes of average view duration. It's a start, right? Now, the next bit is really important because it demonstrates how the YouTube algorithm isn't ignoring small channels. Instead, it is working relentlessly on their behalf. For the next couple of months, YouTube cautiously continued to test the content, a few dozen impressions a day. Terrible watch time on some occasions, but incredible viewing periods on other days, up to 1 hour. 1 hour average view duration on a single video. And over time, there were enough positive signals for YouTube to start testing the content in a new way, through browse and suggested. No longer did a viewer need to find the content, YouTube was now recommending it to them. Naturally, that resulted in more views, a lot more watch time, and yet more impressions. YouTube tell us a combination of higher click-through rate and watch time increases YouTube recommendations. That's massive potential watch time leading to massive recommendations. Although the click-through rate is quite bad. But there is an explanation for this. As YouTube tests content with new and wider audiences, those people are not familiar with the content or the creator, so they're more cautious to click, which is naturally going to bring down click-through rate. But how else can YouTube test content? That is why click-through rate is a very fluid an unreliable number. When it comes to CTR, context is king. On the other hand, in this example, watch time actually stabilized at a very strong number, which meant that YouTube was finding the right audience and they were satisfied by the content. Very positive signals for the algorithm to work with. Now, going back to our earlier examples of video game retrospectives, it is clear that Super Mario World is far more popular than Wing Commander. But what is the upper limit of popularity for this game? Well, through testing, YouTube assumed around about 2.8 million people might be interested in this topic. And eventually 100,000 people committed to watching the video. Now, of course, there's always a possibility that YouTube may test this video further in the future, but for now it appears that it's exhausted the potential audience for this video. And so now the creator needs to plan their next video.
I am currently knee-deep in the production of my next video, which is going to be about 1993's X-Wing.
Yeah, X-Wing was good, but it was no TIE fighter. What X-Wing is, however, is the natural and perfect progression for this creator. It is another 1990s space sim that's remembered and loved by far more people than Wing Commander, which naturally means an even bigger potential audience. And yet, a quick search on YouTube suggests that currently there is no epic retrospective review of this game on YouTube. Supply and demand. And when that next video comes out, the YouTube algorithm can unleash its secret weapon: personalization. It already has 100,000 views of data at an average view duration of 20 minutes, which is very powerful. Once your video is in somebody's watch history, YouTube can take that information and find similar viewers who may enjoy the content, and it is a huge snowball effect. Over the coming weeks, months, even years, anybody who's watching 1990s space video games on YouTube is likely to come into contact with some of Space Cadet Rewind's content. I wouldn't be surprised if YouTube tests that video with every single person who watched the Wing Commander video. And you know what? I'm going to watch it because I know I'm going to really enjoy it. If you are a small channel just starting out on your YouTube journey, ask yourself this simple question: what content is missing from YouTube that people want to watch that I know I can talk about? That's the gap you need to start filling. But we did mention earlier that Space Cadet Rewind still has work to do when it comes to their video packaging, especially the titles. They need to be more curious, more enticing. This is how you write titles that get clicks and more views.